Hello everybody and welcome back. So I wanted to take a look at combining all the elements that we set up together. This is the final shot 1, and the final passes, and I'm going to combine them. So this is how it looks like. There's exactly what we did together. Let me change the start and end frame. So this is our beauty pass with all the lights. Render it full sequence. I have the smoke. So the smoke element. It looks quite bright, and I will explain why that is. And then we have the Atmo. The Atmo is also quite bright. I'll explain in a second. And then I have the sparks. And I have the blue for the lightning effects, which we'll cover next week, but it's very similar to rendering sparks, and the same randomization, same trick, but I'll touch on this next week. And then I have a lightning strike, which is basically a curve going down with a carve node just getting extended, and then a noise following along the y-axis. And I rendered, I believe, 20 frames just so I can have enough, no less, 14 frames. That's it. That's all I needed. I needed this part, and then it's gonna be turned off, so I didn't bother rendering the whole thing. And this was a last minute idea that I wanted to add, so I'm not gonna worry too much about that. So let's talk about why these passes are bright. So once you guys start using more and more Arnold, you will notice that the volume shader is generally dark compared to surfaces. This is something I noticed quite a lot, and what I ended up doing is I just gain things up when it comes to volume rendering. You know, I don't care too much how it looks. The same lights, as long as it's the same lights, it's gonna be fine. Now the trick is we have to expose the image in a nice way. The easiest way to do that is by going to the camera. So select any camera, and you will see some of them I have two versions. Yeah, so like this is render com 1 and this is render com expo. And under the Arnold tab in the camera, I go into the camera tab and set the exposure to 4. This is gonna increase the brightness of everything, which will help solve noise issues. Because if something is very dark and Arnold decides to ignore it, then it's not gonna throw in enough samples. But if we expose everything for 4 stops, then everything is gonna be super bright. It's very important not to clamp the data, otherwise we're gonna be running out of range. And in here I can now say I can do this 0.25, and now that's my original colors, and I have room if I wanted to go, you know, brighter or darker, and the render is still clean. Now this is the same value used here, so this is my Atmo, and let's combine everything. So what do we have? We have the sparks. I'm gonna use an add mode for this. So plus, that's the sparks, and then the fire and volume. So let's move it. Let's do it here actually. So this is going to be on top, and I think 4 is still quite strong. Something like that. And then the sparks on top of everything. And then the atmospherics on top of everything. So over, and for the Atmo I use this mode. I use HePot, and what it's gonna do, it's gonna change the image of the underneath layer. So if the volumetrics is bright, it's gonna darken the background. If the volumetrics is dark, it's gonna brighten. So it balances things quite nicely, and this is the best mode I found to combine passes. Now it's still very strong, so I'm gonna tune it down, and we have to break down the AUVs as well to rebalance that key light. But this is a quick pass, and let's shuffle one AUV to add more haze. Let's shuffle the front maybe. No, let's try the top. Yeah, the top is what I needed. So, and I'm gonna copy this. Let's just do a quick recomp here. I need the red, so plus these two, add them together, and let's gain this down, and let's also lower the gamma to squeeze it in, and we need to hue shift it because it's getting very saturated, something like that. And I'm gonna desaturate this. And now if we do channel shuffle copy, because I want to restore the alpha channel from this, and do heat pot, we're gonna get nice combination. Now this light is still not so great, so we'll have to tweak it again and maybe lower it, something like this. And we have that nice rim, nice fog in the environment from the Atmo. It's nicely getting blended with the background, and when we get strong values, the fog automatically tunes off, but when it's dark we see more of the fog. So that this is really cool way of combining the various passes. And I didn't recomp anything on the beauty pass. I didn't start messing around with, you know, the inside faces or anything. This is just A over B. And let's make sure everything is black, starts at black, because the volume, the smoke is not rendered up until frame 70. This one is black as well, and this one is fine. So that's it. This is all the passes: ground, smoke, sparks, and Atmo. And let's just add the blue thing here. And I believe I rendered it at a different resolution, so yeah, I need to reformat it to 1480 by 810. And let's use a plus mode. And see, I didn't render the entire ground because this is not going to illuminate the surrounding. And this is with a plus mode. So let's do this. Let's put down an exponential glow. Get some glows going. Something like that. And instead of plus, let's use heat pot. See, it combines. See how it changed? And I'm also going to use a plus mode to make the center brighter. So another plus. And I'm gonna limit the timeline and just cache this part. And I think that's it for this. Let me do one more thing. Sorry. This is black as well. So I think this is pretty much it for this week. We've talked about rendering all the elements. And I have a few more things that I will include in next week, mainly rendering the sparks and maybe an alternative workflow for rendering debris. And then we're gonna start setting up proper comp for all of this to make it, you know, to tweak everything we need and to add all the details and hopefully make it look even better than what we have. And for me, I think it's very important to get everything rendered with the same lighting, because a lot of times not everybody has access to the lighting that was used in the environment, and then the smoke is rendered using a different set of lights, and you have to balance everything back into the scene, make it work, and I prefer to render everything together. So the same light I use on the volumes, and that's what's great about Arnold. I don't have to cheat, I don't have to do any of that, and everything just works together. The main reason I split it into this way is because I need control over the various elements to, you know, tweak it here in comp, and then we have the AUVs, which will make it even better. So this is a quick test of the final passes, and what I recommend to you guys is to, like we did in last week, we did some comp tests. You have to work on the lighting a bit more, try to get it to look as interesting as possible, and then just make these passes, okay? Split it into volume sparks or volume particles, geometry, Atmo, and set those AUVs, create those AUVs, and then we're gonna make it look even better in the upcoming week. Thank you so much for watching, and talk to you next week. Bye bye.